Solomon Butler, who you see right here, was a Rocky grad and was quite the athlete. He competed in the Olympics and was an NFL star, but here's the deal, he was so much more. Recently, local author and historian David Sebben released a biography about Saul Butler. This is Sebben at a book signing earlier this week, and we got a chance to talk with him about what we can learn from Butler's life.
And joining us now is author David Sebben. David, thank you so much for taking the time this week to chat with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You just wrote a book, The Solomon Butler Story. Nothing Great is Easily Won, is the title of it. Um, Before we get into talking about who Solomon Butler was, what got you interested in telling his story?
Well, for many, many years, his name appeared in the football program at Rock Island High School. They had a rundown of various landmark events that happened in football, and his was in 1914, where he scored 8 touchdowns in one game. I thought that's pretty amazing. And fast forward about 9 years ago, myself and Rick Myers and Doug Frazier, two friends of mine, we collaborated and we wrote a book on the history of Rock Island High School. In that book, I did a lot of the photography for it, and I also wrote 2 pages about Solomon. And I thought, there's got to be a lot more to this individual than 2 pages devoted to his senior year at Rock Island High School. So 7 years later, here we are with the book.
And who was Saul Butler? And I know he did so many things, and you uncover that and share that in your book. But who was he from kind of your perspective?
Besides being an outstanding athlete, which is very obvious when you read the book, he was just a very outstanding human being. Obviously, he grew up in Jim Crow America, dealt with a lot of racial issues, you know, when he was in high school, when he was an adult, and even in his later years as an adult. And he met them head on, with so much class and charisma. I mean, he never fought back, lashed out. He just accepted it. And I know that's the wrong term to use, but he was just very accepting of the times. And, that was an unfortunate part of our history, but he was just an amazing individual. Character, that class and character stand out in my mind as the best words to use to describe him.
How did you go about researching this and learning all of that and learning about his character? Obviously, well beyond any statistics that you might find in a high school yearbook or anywhere else.
Yeah, obviously the first sources were high school yearbooks, obviously the local newspapers, and then as I started to accumulate that information, I started reaching out a lot further and going to places where he had been and contacting maybe people that didn't know him but knew of his athletic exploits. And I just started, digging and digging, and came up with so many things that just astounded me. I contacted Northwestern University, and the librarian there, um, he did a little digging for me, and he sent me this letter that an attorney had written, just lambasting the Northwestern University for the treatment of him when he was in high school attending a track meet up there. Apparently, they didn't know what his skin color was, and which kind of surprises me a little bit. But you know, he got up there and was expecting to be housed in a fraternity, and once he got there, it's like, oh, wait a minute, you're a young black man, you can't stay here. So they put him up at a like a boarding house that a black gentleman and his wife owned, and this attorney just crucified Northwestern. They just got done, with the Civil War not that many years prior to this, and and just chastised them for their treatment of him. That we're supposed to be beyond this, and apparently some people weren't.
In your book, you share that that really wasn't the last time he had to deal with that.
Yeah, there's many instances where he had to confront racial injustices, and he just said it like it was and left it at that. He didn't lash out, didn't fight back.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, it's often with a smile on his face, which is what made him so endearing. It seemed like to the many fans that he had. What would you say is his legacy for Rock Island?
That he was very accepted at Rock Island. He was just one of the guys. He was obviously a good athlete. He was a excellent singer. He sang second tenor in the Glee Club of all things, and was a teammate to everybody. Made lifelong friends with everybody that he met. He was just a very, I guess, charming, charismatic person, even in high school.
Is there part of his story that you were not able to unlock and share?
He was married for only maybe 3 years, um, and never found out if he had any children. I mean, through my extensive research and contacting other individuals, it doesn't sound like he ever had any children. It sounds like he'd been a great father, but I think just his push to excel in athletics overrode that, and unfortunately, that's what ended up with his wife divorcing him. Actually,
I certainly hope people check this out because one of the things that we find that we didn't talk about today is he was a veteran. He was an entrepreneur. He was an actor, and it's all very kind of an interesting part of his life and charisma. David, thanks so much for taking the time to write this story and to share it with us today.
all right, thank you very much.